Welcome to Arsenal Above All. Well, another frustrating weekend for the Arsenal, dropping more points in our title chase, and things are getting a little bit tense. It was tense enough for me, taking my kids to the park and watching the game on my phone. So it was tense enough for me, but it's going to be pretty tense. It was tense from what I could gather from two of my guests tonight. One of those is Bez Kelmendi. Bez, how you doing, my friend?
Hi there, everyone.
You're okay after that yesterday? Going all through that?
A little bit bitter, but I think I'll get through it. What can we say? What can we say?
Cool. Thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it on a Sunday night. And also, season ticket holder Daniel James, he was there as well. Daniel, he seems to be lost in the matrix a little bit. You're right.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm here, man.
Yeah, we can hear you, man, but we can't see you. But you're doing your milk tray moves again. I know you're busy doing you're doing two jobs at the same time. So
no, it's just the camera on my phone's messing around, man. So when I get my lappy out, the next one I'll get my lappy on, and all you guys will be able to see my nice, beautiful white teeth again.
No problem, man. No problem. No, I appreciate you guys coming. It's Sunday night. It's Super Bowl Sunday. For me, I'll be up till the early hours watching the game. But I thought, let's get on and talk about yesterday and obviously what's to come against City, who, with their win today, have reduced our lead to 3 points. Obviously, we still got a game in hand, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But guys, you were there yesterday. A frustrating draw against a good Brentford side, a very well organised and drilled Brentford side. Bez, obviously, as I said at the top, he was there. What was your take on it, man, in terms of the atmosphere? I mean, watching it all far away as I was watching it on my phone, seemed like the atmosphere was quite tense. It seems like obviously everyone's realising the situation that we're in a really good chance of winning the league this year. And it seemed like the atmosphere was quite tense. And obviously what didn't help was Brentford's start to the game and the way that they came at us. But what was your take on the first half and just how the team tried to get going?
I would say the atmosphere was pretty good for me, considering I've not been there for a while. I mean, as you say, it was quite intense because I think we expected to, like I say, the intensity was there, but it just felt something was missing in the final third for me. Like you just see something, that little piece of the jigsaw, I think something's missing.
Do you think that to do with the teams becoming more sussed about us in terms of how we set up? Obviously, because of the way we line up, we use pretty much the same team, the same X1. We've touched wood. We've had hardly any injuries, obviously, apart from the Jesus one. But do you think it's because teams are becoming more used to us, or is it a combination of the fatigue, or maybe the lack of energy from certain players and the drop of form?
You could say lack of form is expected now, because they kept us to this position for quite some time. And, when we had those so-called pundits saying to us, we're not past those tests, it goes to show again. I mean, now some players, I guess, like feeling the heat inside. Like, I just felt like when I was watching the Brentford goalkeeper, for the love of God, how do you take a goal kick and take your time for so long?
Yeah.
And not get punished, not get warned for so many times they did it. I'm just lost for words. I get the people attack Tony, which is not nice. What I heard today in the news as well.
Yeah, that's shocking. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's for anyone. I know he's got so-called, people. He's not appreciated much, but at the same time, I just feel like the man is a striker. He will do anything to get his team, let's say a point or a goal, which he did. He he worked his socks off, I think, for that team yesterday. It
Yeah.
was everywhere. I was like, wow, this man can do pretty much everything on his own, like one-man team pretty much.
Yeah, he's a top player. Obviously, there were doubts about him when he came up with Brentford before, but the last couple of seasons, obviously, he's proven that he's one of the top strikers in the country. And obviously, he had Gabriel and Saliba really tied up and probably gave him their hardest game in a long time, especially at home. What was your thoughts on the performance, Daniel? Especially again, with the atmosphere and just the vibe that's coming from the team at the moment.
First of all, I agree with Bez. The atmosphere was great. The fans never got on the team's back at any point. It was just pure support from start to end. For me, Brentford set up as they usually do. If you check their results against the other top 6 sides, very good results, to be honest. They know how to set up. They've got blocks of 4 and 5 at the back and in the middle, and they're huge. They're a very tall team. They work hard. They're a unit. They knew exactly what they came to do. Similar to the tactics Newcastle employ as well, which is to basically squeeze the life out of you. There's just no space to play around.
Yeah.
The delaying tactics with the keeper taking long, players going down a lot. It's all a delay tactic to cause frustration and to stop the flow. And to be honest with you, my annoyance is more with Arsenal that we allow these teams to do it so often, if I'm honest. We know that these teams are going to come and do it. We have to find a plan B and a plan C to get around them.
Yeah.
Tony was imperious. He really was. That was a centre-forward masterclass.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I can't criticise Brentford at all. I can only say that they used their tactics and stuck to their game plan, and it worked really well. I was very disappointed with our centre-backs, 6'3" and 6'4" respectively, losing all those balls in the air, all those battles to a centre-forward who's how tall is Tony? 5'10", 5'11". They've got a good...
Yeah, Tony's quite tall as well, isn't he? Is he? I thought he was 6 something, but...
I believe he's not... I don't even think he's 6 foot. Let me have a quick look.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
179, 179. That's 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, 5'10". Wow, okay. He
Yeah.
got taller, yeah.
But he's got a good leap on him, and he's obviously got good physical stature as well. But I'm very disappointed Saliba and Gabriel, 6'3", 6'4", losing out that physical battle against one centre forward.
Yeah.
But again, Brentford employed their game plan. For me as well, I think I would like to see Arsenal get a bit rough and rugged sometimes. The pretty football is brilliant, but we are in a title fight now. Let's be honest, yeah. I would have loved to have seen Arteta say, "Okay, cool, we've got this goal late in the game, 70th minute. I'm going to bring on Holding or Tomiyasu or both, and we're going to go 5 at the back, and we're just going to shut up the shop."
Yeah, 100%.
And that's it. And that's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was my overall take on it. I left the game quite disappointed, more frustrated with us, really, not with Brentford's tactics, not with VAR. VAR is VAR. That's nothing to do with Brentford. That's a separate thing, I guess we'll talk about. But yeah, disappointed. Yeah, very.
Yeah, I think you're right with Arteta in the way he managed it. Obviously, it was only about 10 minutes between the goals.
Yeah.
But I think we had another chance after that. After the goal, before they scored, I think, and I think Trossard, had a shot which just went over. But yeah, I think what people have, a lot of commentary I've been getting online and seeing online from fans is, right, if you'd have given us, if you'd have said at the start of the season in February, we 3 points clear now, City with a game in hand, top of the league, you would have taken, the person's hand off to have that. So, and when at the start of the season, everyone, including myself, was like, it was all about top 4. No one thought we were going to have a title run. But as well as thinking that way, you can, like you said, you can change. Think situations change, and you have to change your mindset for the situation that you're in. So, right, yes, we are in the title race. So, in that situation, in that game, seeing what's happened, seeing the team are trying, but not quite at it, not quite sharp. That, okay, we've taken a lead. like, let's shut it down. Like you said, let's shut it down. Let's get let's match up Brentford literally for what they're doing. So three at the back, 5 across the middle, and then just close the game down and try and hit them on the counter, because obviously they would be the ones trying to get on the front foot. And the fact that he didn't revert to that. Who knows? Maybe after that free kick, was 74th minute. After that situation, he may have done that if it had still been 1-0. But yeah, I think Arteta again has to. I think it all boils down to him trusting his team, or his squad, I should say, and having a plan B. Because for me, it's like we're still a little bit predictable in that regards, and teams are just doubling up on Martinelli and Saka. They're just doing that all the time, because they know Ben White is not really overlapping like he used to. On the other side, Zinchenko isn't overlapping. He's coming inside all the time. So the opposition know all we've got to do is double up, especially on Martinelli. And he's I can't remember the last time I've seen Martinelli get the ball and beat a man. I can't remember. He used to do that quite a lot, but he used to get his head down and just go. But he doesn't really do that as much. So yeah, I just think I think against City, we were talking about in a minute. He's gonna go back to his tried and trusted. I think he's probably gonna go the same 11 again. Trossard is a toss up, but I think he'll go for Martinelli, maybe because of the work he does, maybe defensively. Who knows? But we'll talking on this the second half. Obviously, yeah, he made the change. He brought Trossard on. And that was a great moment for him, because I think people were saying that he could have started. Instead of Martinelli, he came on and scored his goal. But what would you do on if we might as well jump to City now? Well, what would you do in terms of that game on Wednesday, Bez? Would you start Trossard, or would you change maybe somewhere else? I mean, because some people are saying bringing Tomiyasu in for White because he seems to have dropped off a lot as well. But what would you do on Wednesday? Would you start Trossard?
I would say 100%, because he's delivered the last 2 home games pretty much everything you could offer him. Like, he's literally had like 2 cameos and he's made a difference twice.
Yeah.
Nothing against Martinelli. He's still a young lad. He still has a lot to learn from other senior players. As he with Trossard, he's been there, done that. He's proven, despite some of our fan base who were saying, "Oh, we played such and such for a player who's 27." For the life of me, again, why do you question these players who signed for us? Like, if they're 27, that means they've done it. We need some injection of experience as well, rather than just pace, which sometimes leads you nowhere. It's like it's just like you go straight ahead, you don't know to go. That's what's with sadly Martinelli. He was drifting left and right, but nothing was going his way. He just was having a little bit of a bad patch, but he can work on it. He can improve on it. He's got a great team around him. He's got a great manager who will look after him, I hope. And obviously other senior staff next to Arteta. But I just wish he has to understand that, look, on Wednesday, well, nothing against personally, but he needs to really, he might have to step aside and let Trossard lead the way. And, sometimes we need to, utilize, as we said before in a previous podcast, we need to utilize the team we have, because right now, every man, is like, we need, to deploy for the attack. Like, I can see like how Saka, for example, he overlapped, he did everything well for the, let's say, Trossard goal. But some of the other players, I won't say names, I feel I'm going to attack someone if I say even some of our players, they've been on the same page as Saka, for example. Like, you can see he's trying to drift the ball to, let's say, to Ben White. Ben White goes back to the left, Saka goes back to the right. And when Saka, I think, goes left, because I was sitting, I think, above that was the upper tier.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, why people don't read Saka's speed now? So Saka's trying to be like, as Daniel was saying, we need a plan B, a plan C. Like, I can see Saka already. He's got this vision. He's always got a plan B. But sadly, some of our team players don't seem to have the same mindset that, oh yeah, let's just do something predictable. Let's say I saw Partey go forward. He tried a few times to hit from distance again, bless him. Yeah. I just felt like, do that more. If you don't want to pass anyone, just keep going, or just at least go for it, or at least even Xhaka as well. So he seemed very quiet as well. He's not usual self. I was like, what's happened to you guys? We're at home, I know the stadium got a bit decorated. It was nice to be in that new sort of vibe of a stadium, very modern and looking that one.
Yeah,
just felt, what's happened to our team? It's not that we look deflated, but just it seemed a bit of the aura, it's just dropped off. It's like, what's going on? I was just literally, yes, I enjoyed it. I don't remember being back at Emirates, but I just felt like something's missing in this team now. We saw in the documentary, but I just felt Where's that, bun gone? Where's that little
Yeah.
spark, that was missing, It's like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I don't want to seem I'm attacking them, because I still love this team. But
No. I
something,
think
something was missing, in the air,
yeah, I think a lot of it is, just earlier in the season, a lot of us, when we spoke before, after each game, it was pretty much like, isn't it great that we could talk about 4 or 5 players as being, man of the match. When you came to deciding who man of the match was, there's 5 or 6 players you could choose from, and it's just a shame that it seems like there's 5 or 6 players that have all sort of dropped off form at the same time a little bit, and you can probably get away with one, because then if one has, you can then change that player for somebody else who's like a Trossard. But if it's more than one, and you maybe change too many, then you've got a lot of you're disrupting the chemistry and disrupting a lot of the the people players that have been playing maybe on all the same wavelength and systems and stuff. If you make too many changes because there's too many players who drop to 4, then that's a risk. Which again leads into a City game. So in that instance, would you make a change for the City game, Dan, or would you go same 11 again, or would you like Bez bring Trossard in?
I think we had a chat about this after the game, didn't we, Mike? I said and I'm not criticizing at all Martinelli. I think he's been brilliant, but at this point of the season, it comes down to Arteta and his ability to manage his men and manage the squad in general.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing now is a few players have dropped off their level. Martinelli is one of them. He's, as you said, Mike, he's not beating his man on the outside as much as he was before. He looks like, I don't know if the contract negotiations have been a bit disruptive for him. I don't know, but I just feel maybe he just needs to hold a place on the bench. Let Trossard start the next match, who, by the way, has a fantastic record against Man City. Trossard, when he was at Brighton, I just think it's a perfect game for him to start his first. I think we've seen Xhaka. He's dropped his form from earlier in the season as well. Again, I'm not criticizing, but it's an observation from my opinion.
Yeah.
Partey giving away the ball a lot. I said already, the centre backs losing every ball in the air. You're right as well, Mike, about the full backs. No overlapping, man. I really think we could have done with seeing Tierney perhaps come on and provide that overlap, that width from the fullback positions. And that's something we don't have on the right with Ben White. He's a good technical player, but he doesn't have that attacking thrust.
No.
And neither does Tomiyasu, to be honest. So maybe that's something that they got to look at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would start Trossard. I would probably keep everything else the same. I probably would have liked to have seen Jorginho come on the last 10, 15 minutes to give something different to Xhaka.
Yeah.
To see if he could have found a pass or something. Do you know what I mean? But they tried everything too cute. Everything was attempted too cute. All the little flicks and stuff. It's not one of them games for that. It was just a game where you need to just find a pass through the lines, or do you know what I mean? The little flicks and stuff around the box, it just weren't working. Brentford just swamped the box. For City, I think a few players are kind of bordering on potentially being swapped. I wouldn't say dropped, but definitely swapped, whether that's to give them a breather or just to let someone else start, for them to say, right, my position's up for grabs. I need to really step on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bit disappointed with Ramsdale on the goal as well. Sometimes he finds himself in no man's land, and he done that.
We'll talk about that.
But I would definitely at least make the Martinelli for Trossard for City 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think the players, the main ones I can think of have all, Xhaka has been a bit off the pace. Martinelli has been off the pace, and Saliba as well. He was a bit off the pace before the World Cup, but especially since he's come back, he's still been a bit off. And all those players obviously had a World Cup, so let's say that they've had that may be part to play with it, part to play. But no, I definitely think against the teams we play against, there's a few teams we've got to play at home who aren't necessarily teams that are going to come out at us. I think most of the teams that we've got left are going to probably follow suit in terms of having a low block and trying to win set pieces and overload in those circumstances, second balls and stuff, and try and, score a goal like they did yesterday, bouncing around head tennis and stuff like that. Maybe when Palace, maybe we'll try and play a little bit, because obviously they're very dangerous on the counter with the players that they've got. But I think in that sense, with that sort of teams that we're playing against, I think I would like to see Zinchenko play as the left 8 instead of Xhaka, and then have someone like Tierney. So then you've got that natural overlap, and then that frees up space for Martinelli or Trossard. And it just makes teams think of things a little bit differently, because, yes, we used to say, all that Tierney does, he goes down the line and he fires crosses in. Well, we didn't have a poacher in there. We didn't have someone like Nketiah in there who's sniffing around. So maybe that's just another option for us to go down, especially at home, when we can maybe afford to do that. Obviously, against City, there's no way Jack is going to be dropped, because he's got that defensive sort of security and stuff. But I think against the other teams who are going to play in the low block, I think he needs someone who's going to offer a little bit more in that 8 on that left side 8, and that's not having to go at Xhaka at all. I just think we need a little bit more there. Doesn't seem like it's going to be Vieira. I mean, that free kick he took right at the end was so disappointing. You're waiting for the build up for it, and he just hits it straight to the keeper, which was really, 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 really poor. But yeah, we're talking about the keepers. Another keeper, Ramsdale. Yeah, I just think the guy panics too much. When he's always trying to be like Superman a little bit. I mean, I just really am disappointed with the way he ran out for that Norgard sort of cross, because there's no way Norgard was going to have a shot in that situation. He was always going to try and knock it back into the air. So I don't know what he was doing in that instance, Bez. I mean, he's obviously pulled off a couple of good saves over the last couple of games, but again, is this down to someone who's maybe wants it a little bit too much and is maybe realizing what's at stake, and he just needs to have a little bit of composure?
Composure is a very hard word, because simply be, as you say, I don't know why. I'll go back to what Dan was saying in a second, but how the hell does Ramsdale not become a Superman in an unwanted position? Like, clearly he did had a good first, I'll say in fairness, a good decent 45 minutes. He looked a bit on the edge, fine. Any goalkeepers, especially at home as well. But for that Brentford goal, I just feel like, what are you doing? Just stay in your line. Like, you got enough presence. I mean, by the time the goal came in, okay, yeah, we kind of had the zonal marking, if I'm correct saying that, even though it doesn't exist anymore. But I just feel at the same time, like, why are you rushing out of your line? This is not like you. Like, stay in your line. Like earn that reputation of that presence in that penalty area. Because I'll go to back to a certain goalkeeper. I mean, Lehmann used to be slow to the life pretty much by our fan base back in the day, but at least he had the presence about him. And we had that invincible season. He could literally scare someone with his presence. That's what I like about the man. But Ramsdale, again, as Dan was saying, someone played yesterday and somehow played too. They were playing too cute, because I feel like, yes, he's a goalkeeper, but man, come on your defense. Bring some presence up. He's a big lad as well, I'm sure. He seems very much, enjoying life with Arsenal, since an Arsenal fan himself as well. But I just feel like, why do you do sudden, stuff like this when you're not really needed? I just feel like he had a little rush of blood. I just felt like there's no need for you to do this, even at home. Like, there was no pressure at all. You saw that, moment will happen, but at least keep going back to it. Stay in your line. Like, because, they surprised him. I think when the goal went in, it's like, yeah. And obviously we'll talk about Vieira in a second, but I just felt like, I just feel like, Ramsdale, just stay put. Like, you see something happening, just stay there. Let your defense come together, so at least they know, okay, you have a goalkeeper on the goal line. He's there. We're here. We need to do a job. Same as midfield, which I thought the midfield dynamic was not really great yesterday. I was like, this midfield, like, it was all compact. Everyone would G up each other, like complete brotherhood. But now I just feel like, again, I like what's happened to you guys. It's like someone just burst a balloon and just like everyone's like, oh yeah, shit,
Yeah.
what, I'm still a bit lost for words
Yeah.
inside. Still thinking, what happened there, guys? It's like, come on, like what happened to this? Pump each other up and give each other a little lift, or again, it just feels like something was missing in how we just do silly, especially at home. Again, I can forget my way because away, away teams want to bully us again.
Yeah.
But I just felt like we're at home against Brentford. Okay, their finals just came up. As Dan said, they're very well organized, despite their little negative play, which I can talk about for days if I could. But I just felt at the same time, credit was due. They played well to get that point. But same for us. I just felt, what's up to this dynamic understanding we had before, the unity. It's like, just felt yesterday, it was missing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What, that quick, so soon?
Yeah. I think it's definitely a combination of teams sussing us out a bit. I'll take not fix it. What's not broke, he's not going to fix it. Why mess around with it? Because again, we're top of the league still. And I think but even said that we've all to a man have said we have to try and hopefully trust the squad a bit and maybe have some faith in some of the backups. But I think obviously as the Europa League gets closer, that's going to be his opportunity to do that. But Dan, obviously in the stadium at the time, obviously with Ramsdale doing his Superman impressions. The goal itself, I mean, because obviously they had the VAR check, and what was the feeling in the feeling? Silly question would have been, oh please let it be offside. But what was their thoughts in the stadium at the time? Did you think it was offside, or were you hoping for some sort of miracle? Because me watching it on my phone was that there's two incidents there that looks like it's offside, and then obviously when they show the replay, you're saying, okay, great, that's offside. But what was what was going through your head at that moment?
Well, the fact that it was taking so long, I mean, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but it seems like there's a pattern that when VAR takes quite long, that either it's going to be overruled or call the referee to the monitor. Now, they did neither. They just said correct decision, and that's it. They didn't give the ref the chance to go and see if there was an error made, it's just all shocking. The whole thing is just shocking. I mean, Howard Webber explained, oh, Lee Mason forgot to draw the lines. That would have said the guy was offside. How can he forget to draw the lines? What's that all about?
That's the tool. That's the tool that if in that decision, in an offside decision, that's the tool that you use, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you have to you've got the eye test. Obviously, you look at it. You can look at it, cold light day, and you give it the eye test, and you can see, does it look offside? Is it clear cut? Then fine, yeah. But even if it is clear cut, we've seen it. We've watched games, and you can see it's blatantly offside, or it's blatantly not offside. But they still get the lines out. It's like, and you're thinking, just, oh, Jesus Christ, get on with it. But they get the lines out.
And also check. I don't know if you guys noticed. I did notice in the replay. Check Tony is all over the back of Zinchenko.
Yeah, Zinchenko as well. Yeah. You can see him there. He's right on top of him. And he could have went down, but he didn't. He sort of stayed on his feet. But you're right. That I can't understand how someone whose job is to do that, to look at an offside, and doesn't use the tools like all the specific tool to determine if someone is offside or not. It's like me saying to you, Dan, Dan, I'm going to come around and paint your living room, and I'm going to go and paint your living room. I'm just going to use my hands. I'm going to put my hands, dip it in the pot, and smear it all over. It's going to take me flipping 2 months to do it, but I've done it. And then I think, oh shit, I had these really expensive paintbrushes. I forgot to use it. I forgot to use it, Dan. Sorry, I just used my. It's just nonsense. It's how could you even have that as an excuse out in the open to say that's the reason why it wasn't given. I think he's got apparently Howard Webb has called everybody in on the referees and everything. He's called everybody in for like a meeting on Tuesday because apparently he's really angry about what's happened. Especially there was something even worse that happened at Brighton. there was a situation in the West Ham Chelsea game, and there's another game I'm missing as well. But you know, they've apparently apologised to us. They've apologised to Brighton. And that's that. I think, you know, someone making a massive decision like that, they've got to be relieved of their duties. You can't give this guy, you know, say, okay, we're going to slap his wrist, and then he'll be back in 3 or 4 weeks' time, like nothing's happened. And this is the same guy that was who was on the VAR when we played Man United, and we had that brilliant goal from Martinelli. Disallowed because of that foul. Apparently, this was a foul on Ericsson, and it went back a few seconds because after that, I think the ball broke to Saka, and then he played a lovely ball through to Martinelli and scored. And and the man on VAR that day was Lee Mason. And you know, it's a recurring theme. You know, we've had this situation. Southampton 1-0 up at the time. You know, Jesus threw on goal. Clear through on goal, gets pulled out in the box. No penalty, and that would have been a red card as well.
Not only that, but Lemina should have been sent off in that game.
Yeah. And then we had this crazy man going around, same game, chucking his head in he had nothing, absolutely nothing. I think he got a yellow card. It should have been a red.
Was it Lemina his name? I can't remember the geezer's name.
I forgot he's a Brazilian guy, Lasino or something like that, something beginning with L or something. Yeah. But he should have been sent off. And obviously we've got this one from the Newcastle game.
Oh yeah,
you know. So I mean, I'm sure a lot of teams in the Premier League, especially this season, because of how bad the officials are, can build up a case like this. But this is just the 4, you know, the main ones of this season. But you know, it's massive. It's a massive mission. You know, it's a massive. You know, your duty is that is your role. And if you can't do it, then what the hell are you doing in the job?
You know, what's irks me the most, and I'm sure you know as well, and this will bring a bit of memory as a flashback, but it reminds you of the F1 2021 when Lewis got his title snatched out of his fingers because certain Michael Massey at the time made the rules to benefit Red Bull. Yeah. And I just feel to this day and age, at least, okay, if they don't get rid of these referees who work in the box up, you know, Stanley Park, if I'm correct, but at least, you know, okay, don't let them, you know, use these machines again. You know, don't like just say, okay, we're going to suspend them. But at the same time, discipline them to say, look, follow the right rules. Because clearly, why, as you showed those, you know, facts there, why are we the only team right now who seems to be penalized when we're in the right? I just feel like, get a grip. It's always, let's say, it's always us who get penalized for doing something. Let's say we do fair play. Oh, yeah, sure, is Arsenal? Yes. We're doing great, and something goes bad against us. Everyone's like in the bandwagon again. I just feel like when Liverpool won it in the pandemic times, I remember correctly, VR was implemented so much for them.
Yeah.
Yet everyone didn't say nothing. Let's just feel, yeah, sure, it's a trial period. You know, yeah, sure, it's a trial period. But tennis works fine.
Yeah.
In rugby seems to work fine. I watched a little bit of NFL when I get, you know, time because it's quite a late night for us.
Yeah.
Again, you know, these technologies have worked really well. I just feel like, why now? Is it 3 years in, if I'm correct, guys? Surely VR should be at least 80% correct, maximum 80% correct. And now we're getting, as you showed, 5-6 decisions there.
Yeah.
And they're all going against us. We're in the right. I just feel like, get a grip, guys. It's like Arsenal's doing well. Yeah, why not? Just let's just, you know, deflate them a little bit. You know, let's give them a little setback. I feel it's like anti-Arsenal things again. It's like over time. You know, I told you it's growing up now to be an adult. I just feel like, why am I seeing this again? When clearly we are supposed to make football a bit better, a bit more, you know, fair, shall we say. Yeah. But it hurts me to say that somebody that they can't do the job properly again. It's sad.
Yeah. I've always said, you know, banged the drum, you know, even when talking with Jack and the guys on his Purely Arsenal podcast about the referees having no accountability, you know, because of what you said, Bez. You know, there's no, we can't hear the communication between Stockley Park, you know, officials, the 4 officials. because they don't trust the fans for that information to be put into the stadium because they're worried that they're going to start rioting or whatever. But I think what football needs to do, with it being the biggest game in the world, is to take the best things from rugby, from the NFL, and implement it into football, because it's so big. These games are so big. There's so much money involved in the game. Like with the NFL, you have I think there's the next World Cup Championships, or the World Cup Championship now. I think they're doing a trial where when they do a VAR decision, the referee is actually he's actually relaying the decision to the stadium via a microphone. So it's like the NFL, and that's great. But I think with the NFL, you have each coach, each team has a challenge flag. It's like a red flag that they can throw if there's a massive decision, or like a touchdown which they don't think was a legal touchdown or whatever. They can actually throw a challenge to that. Now, you imagine this situation here. There's that happens. They give the goal, and then Arsenal or Arteta challenges that, and then they do it properly. They get the lines out, and then they'll see that the goal shouldn't have stood. And I think maybe that's where it's got to go to. And if people are saying, "Oh well, the game stops," and everything, well, sorry, you've got teams like Brentford and whatever teams coming and stopping the game anyway, taking 20 seconds to start a goal kick. So don't tell me that, oh, you're worried about the game stopping and starting. It already is. We're having 50 minutes of ball in play when people are paying through the nose, and some people getting fleeced, through touts and whatever, to watch a game, to watch football, and they're watching just over a half of football because some of the opposition are trying to kill the game or whatever. So for me, one, there's lack of accountability, and as long as there's no accountability, you're always going to get decisions like this. But I think they have to. The dream would be for them to have something like that in place, where if a decision like that happens and they don't go through the whole proper channels of doing their job properly, it can get challenged by a manager to say no. You need to look at that again, and it goes from there. What do you think, Dan? Do you think something like that could work, or it's never going to happen, or is it kind of going down that way? Because I think there's so much visibility now on social media and everything like that, with people putting TikToks up and whatever and that. I think the game's getting called into question, its integrity. You know what I mean? And that's not just on the other thing with City, but the officials as well. People are talking about corruption and whatever. So what do you think?
Yeah, look, I think the fact that we're hearing Howard Webb is really upset. He's annoyed, and he's called the clubs to apologise and acknowledge the mistakes that were made. I think that's only a good thing. That shows that action is being taken. I do feel that some more accountability somehow needs to come into play here. Some of those ideas you've mentioned are good in terms of the red flag kind of idea. I guess the concern would be the amount of times the game would stop. But I don't know, maybe if you give a certain amount of red flags for each game, I don't know. But there definitely needs to be more accountability for stuff like that. The game being slowed down, all these little tactical kind of ways of getting around the rules. For example, we're seeing players go down holding their head. They've had a challenge or something's happened in the box. The opposition are on a counter attack, and they've said, "Oh, sugar," and gone down holding their head, and the ref has to stop the game because it's a potential head injury.
You know what an easy way around that is for them to let the physio come on.
Let the physio come on.
Just let them come on. If it's a head injury, let them come on. The game carries on. If they're not stupid enough to keep the ball or play the ball near the physio, that's their business. But that's what happens in rugby. I mean, they say it because rugby stop-start. But if it's a head injury, and supposedly you let the physio on and let the game carry on. And just to cut in, I've always said that the referees should not be in charge of the timekeeping. There should be an independent timekeeper, someone away from that thing where the ball goes out of play, they stop it, they restart it when it comes in again. And if the game's like the World Cup, basically, where it's 10 minutes extra, then so be it. And then that will then teams will maybe change their attitude and stuff like that. But no, I think that's another thing. Sorry, Dan, sorry to cut you.
No, that's cool, man. I just think that the Premier League's allowed too many loopholes for teams to waste time. We see it, goalkeeper taking the ball from one corner of the box to another, walking really slowly, putting the ball down. It's meant to be 6 seconds, but we're seeing more than 6 seconds. And it's just a shame for fans who pay money to watch football to see all these frequent stoppages, and it's pathetic, to be honest. And I understand, teams are going to come to a pressure cooker like the Emirates or like the Etihad or all these other kind of games where it's really difficult, grounds where it's difficult to play and get results, and they're going to do what they can to stifle the home opposition and to implement their own kind of dark arts. But ultimately, it's down to the officials and the body to the FA to put a stop to it, really.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens following Howard Webb's impromptu meeting with the referees and see if there's
Michael,
any P45s.
Just on VR issue, just been figuring out the last few minutes as well. How like, let's say the VR now can overturn the referee's decision, but as Dan said, why can't the referee now walk into the VR screen and he can overturn a VR decision when he's wrong? At least he can say, look, I'm the referee, talk to his team there. I'm running the show, basically. I'm the conductor, basically. If you guys are wrong, he needs to step in and say, look, this is the wrong decision. I'm taking the charge, responsibility at the time. And that, because yesterday it seems like for far too long, we as fans, we just kept that in oblivion. Like, what's happening? All that time that was left. I just feel like surely as a referee, I forgot who was in charge yesterday in our game, but I just felt like, why couldn't he just say, look, guys, you're wrong? I can see already the second player behind our player is literally beyond the second line of defense. There's a clear offside. It's like, just step in and just say yourself, as a referee, I am running the show. Like, you guys are wrong. I'll take the hit. I feel I'm right. Step in, overturn their decision. That they can overturn his decision. Why can't he overturn their decision as well? It's like the same group of people. It doesn't make any difference. I just feel why can't they make the rules, plain and simple, shall we say?
Totally, yeah, I totally agree, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens anyway from following Webb's meeting, and I think apparently Arteta says they assess, they talk to the PGMOL after every game, and and give their assessments on how things have gone. So let's see. Again, let's just see what the results are. So obviously, yeah, we've got City on Wednesday. And just before we wrap up, guys, what are you thinking? You confident going into that game? Obviously, City won today. Looks like Haaland's taken a knock. I'm sure they'll do what they can to get him out. But what are you thinking, Dan, in terms of the game? Do you think we'll bounce back? And is this just the right game for us to bounce back in?
Absolutely the wrong game for us to bounce back in. City are vibrant. They've closed down a potential. I think at one point we could have gone 11 points clear when we had games in hand, but now they potentially will go above us on goal difference with a game in hand. Wrong game, absolutely the wrong game for us to try and bounce back. I would have preferred if it had been another ball playing team who are going to come and play and not try to lock up the shop. Someone like a Villa or something like that. I don't know, but the boys have just got to get on with it. They've got to get on with it now. We're fighting for a title, so you know what, you got to play the best at some periods, and unfortunately, it's fallen right at a point where a win would see the tide really swing. I believe if the boys are not up for it, at a bare minimum, guys, at a bare minimum, if we come away with a draw, I'll take it.
Okay,
I'll take it. I do feel City have the upper hand. I think we're not playing great at the moment. We're not scoring goals at the moment. The last 3 games, we've scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
So we're really not doing well at the moment with the creative side of things.
Yeah.
And against City, the City are going to come onto us. They're not going to sit back and defend.
Yeah.
we've been not conceding a lot, but we're conceding a lot of chances. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie. I'm normally quite confident and quite buoyant before Arsenal games, but right now, this City game, I'm not sure if Arteta gets the team talk right, gets the selection right, gives G's up some players. I do think Martinelli needs to be dropped. I'm sorry, Martinelli. You've been great most of the season, but I think Trossard has the momentum right now. And as I said earlier, he's got a fantastic record against City. He has to start for me. And I think Xhaka and Partey need a big, massive kick up the backside.
Yeah. I think it's one of those games where if we don't step up, we get hurt.
We'll get hurt.
If we don't step forward, we'll get hurt. And you've got to think the big games we've played against the big teams. Obviously, we've come out on top. I think it might be a game that we're not going to play against a team that's going to be going to have a low block, so it might let us play a little bit,
possibly
play our patterns and what have you. But we need to be on it for that to come off, for it to work. So
exactly,
that's the thing. If we, so yeah, it's going to be one of those ones. It could be a toss of the coin, really. Bez, what are you thinking? You confident, or you like Daniel? You're a bit wary.
Optimistic because when Arsenal have these games, when we not expected to win, sometimes we come up trumps, So I'll say, let's go for it, all fire, all cylinders, sort of, all guns blazing, because now is the biggest test, especially at home.
Yeah.
Dan said, well, not score many goals.
Yeah.
But sadly, at the same time, don't be downhearted. This is a team that 3 years ago, we were nowhere near challenging these big boys, And I'm proud of them to see how far we've come in the last 3 years, because I remember being the laughing stock, the banter club, as we got called by a certain bunch, as we spoke about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which I won't name who, but you know very well who they are. And I'm sure Dan will soon enough know what I'm talking about. But yeah, let's be optimistic. I mean, sadly, I love Martinelli to pieces. He's a great Brazilian. He plays well. He links well when he's obviously in fire. But right now, I'll say, just step aside for a minute. Let Trossard lead the line in that left side. Same as Ben White. As much as I adore his ethics for the team, that this first half of the season done well.
Yeah.
If he has to be dropped, sadly, sorry Ben White as well, but he has to be dropped. At the same time as well, I have nothing against Ramsdale, but that might be a time as well he might be dropped as well, because that American fella, he seems very much on. Like I say, he's got the grasp of the English game pretty well. I see
he's done all right.
The ball pretty well. He's got that. I don't know if I say this, but he reminds me a bit of. I don't compare him to Lehman, but I just feel he's got a bit of presence to him, which I think sadly Ramsdale doesn't have. I just feel that he's got presence, but Ramsdale doesn't have, and Ramsdale's got the the vibes, got that I say aura, but if you don't have the presence on your own, defense as a goalkeeper, you be, pretty much you'll get sucker punch, which happened yesterday.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, agree. I think that's something to keep an eye on with Ramsdale moving forward. The fact that I think in 10 Premier League home games, we've had 2 clean sheets. Which isn't, that's not all Ramsdale, but obviously with what situation happened, the way he dealt with that you probably could put that on him. But 10 games and 2 clean sheets, isn't really, good. Good no matter what way you look at it, really. We were just obviously outscoring teams at once. We're not doing that. Then that defensive vulnerability comes into focus, sharper focus. But let's hope we bounce back. On Wednesday, it's going to be a big game. City are obviously a bit wounded, obviously after what happened last week, the way their fans have reacted to the Premier League, you would have seen, and they're going to come down with a bit of a bee in their bonnet. Dealt with some bees, but hopefully they're going to be with a point to prove. Obviously, they're the champions. They're going to probably want to put on a performance as well. So fingers crossed we approach the game in the right way. And as Dan said, we get the boys fired up. Arteta gets the boys fired up, and I'm sure the fans. It's going to be a special atmosphere. Night game as well. So thanks for your company, gents. Bez, thanks for joining me again. Dan, thanks again.
All guys,
appreciate you spending the time. We'll be back. Possibly post City, depending on what happens. If we if we manage to pull off a famous win. It could be quite an emotional show. If we if we don't, we probably see you when we see you. Really, so we'll take it from there. But thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. This will be up, soon. And like I said, we'll be back on hopefully Wednesday night or Thursday with a breakdown of what's took place at the Emirates. So I've been Michael Harris. This guy here has been Bez Kelmendi, and that guy that we can't see, double O James, agent, doing his missions. Daniel James, and I'm sure he'll do a report for us.
Definitely. Maybe win, lose or draw.
Yeah, from the front lines. You know what I mean? While he's on his operative mission at the Emirates Stadium, he'll drop that in hopefully at some point Wednesday as well. So yeah, fingers crossed. Let's bounce back. Let's get another win in the Premier League. Come on, you Reds. Let's do the business.
You know who made it.